I have a 30-acre farm with water off the grid. Should I borrow 200 grand to buy gold, silver? No, I wouldn't. And here's why I wouldn't. The only reason I would take out equity from real estate to buy something else is if whatever it is I purchased would pay me enough to own it to make the monthly mortgage payments. I would not. I mean, I think you're basically buying gold with a negative carry, or buying gold and silver with a negative carry. I don't like that. I don't like that, man. I don't like buying things where something has to happen in order for me to win. That's pretty much the simplest way I can put it. If I buy a rental property, let's go back to 2012. I would go in and just a typical property, I'd buy it for 50 grand. And by the way, these are homes in very good neighborhoods, great school district. I mean, back then they were giving them away. So I would buy a bank for 25 grand, or excuse me, I would buy a house for 25 grand, usually from the bank, sometimes at a tax foreclosure auction. And I mean, these are basic, little ranch, maybe built in the 1970s, 1,200, 1,300 square feet, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, just very, very standard. And I would go in, I'd drop about 25 grand on fixing it up. So I'd be out of pocket, let's call it 75,000. And then I'd rent it out for $1,000 a month. So nothing has to happen in order for that investment to work out. In fact, back then, I just assumed that I would never, ever have appreciation. Never. Because I looked at the chart that I always use, and I saw that historically, home prices really just stayed consistent with inflation. So I thought that, well, if the home stays consistent with inflation, great, but it's not going to increase my purchasing power. If it does, it's just icing on the cake. But I saw the cash flow, and I'm like, okay, no brainer. I could just do that and get whatever it was, 12% net return on my money. And that's without even using leverage. And then you're not factoring in the fact that you can take out that equity in the form of line of credit. You can term it out to a 30-year fixed. And I can do all these other things with that equity while I'm collecting the cash flow, or while I'm, forced the appreciation. See, that's another thing too. I would have $75,000 cash in. And when I got done with the remodel, the value of the property would be $100,000, $110,000, $115,000. So I'd instantly force, call it $25,000 of appreciation. So I'm making that's ROI, right? And see, let's point out another thing that I was doing. I'd be 75 cash in, the value of the property, let's say, would be 100, and then I could take a loan out, 75% LTV. See what I'm doing? So I take 75,000 out of my pocket, put it into a house, then I rent it out. So I got all this positive cash flow coming in. I go to the bank. I say, oh, I want a loan against my equity. And they give me my 75,000 back. Then I could just do it again. But my whole point is that nothing had to happen. I had to put in some work there, of course, but the market didn't have to do anything in order for that to work out. Like if you buy Bitcoin right now, and I like it as a speculation, I'm not knocking Bitcoin, or if you buy gold, for heaven's sakes, or if you buy shares of Tesla or something has to happen in order for that to work out. There has to be more buyers than sellers in the market. The price has to go up. But with what I was just telling you about, the price doesn't have to go up on that. The price, it can just stay the same. And I'm coming out smelling like roses. So the investment works from day one. Nothing has to happen that's outside of your control. You see, so if you're trying to borrow against the equity in your farm, to buy gold and silver, you've got a negative carry on that, and something has to, where you have to come out of pocket every single month to pay that mortgage, and something has to happen in order for that to work out. Now, I'm not saying gold isn't going up. I think silver right now, by the way, is a solid speculation, as are the miners. But I just would not do that unless I was investing in something that was paying the mortgage, so I'm not out of pocket on that investment while I'm waiting for XYZ to come to fruition.